Hello and welcome to my channel, Brabham #7.
Bruh. The FIA allowed engine displacement from 1.5 to 3 liters for the 1966 season. It was going to be a regulation change that might influence the order of teams and drivers in the championships, currently dominated by Jim Clark and Lotus. It would become an interesting season for Formula One. As the South African Grand Prix was relegated to non-championship status, only 9 races were on the calendar for the 1966 season. It was started in late May in Monaco, and it was Clark taking pole once again from Surtees and Stewart. Clark started the race leaping away, only to get stuck in first gear. He'd recover, only to retire on lap 60 with suspension issues. Only 4 drivers would finish the race and so to take points. The BRM of Stewart would win from Bandini, who was ahead of the other surviving BRMs of Graham Hill and Bob Durand. In Belgium, Surtees would take pole from Rindt and Stewart. Once again, only 5 cars finished, but Surtees would hold on to win from Rindt, Bandini, Brabham in his new Brabham Repco, and Ginter in his Cooper Maserati. With only the 5 best results for a driver or constructor counting towards both championships, Bandini now led the drivers and Ferrari the constructors. The French Grand Prix was back at Rams, and Bandini would take pole from Surtees and Mike Parks. Bandini got a great start and took the lead, but neither him or his teammate Surtees would finish the race. It would instead be former double world champion Brabham winning in his own team's car. Parks followed closely in second, 2 laps ahead of Denny Hulme and Rindt, and 3 laps ahead of Gurney and John Taylor. Brabham led now the championships. The Ferraris would compete at Brands Hatch, where the Brabham Repcos of Brabham and Hulme would be 1-2 in qualifying ahead of Gurney. A wet race saw Brabham take victory number 9 for him, though he didn't start on the wet tire compound as others. Hulme made it a 1-2 for Brabham, and behind them came Graham Hill, Clark, Rindt, and McLaren, who had his own team too. At Zandvoort, it was Brabham once again on pole from Hulme and Clark. The Aussie would win for the 3rd time in a row ahead of Graham Hill, Clark, Stewart, Spence, and Bandini. Formula 2 cars were permitted to race at the Nordschleife, where Clark returned to pole position ahead of Surtees and Stewart. A huge lap 1 crash saw John Taylor's car up in flames, him dying 4 weeks later. It was once again Brabham on top, ahead of Surtees, Rindt, Graham Hill, Stewart, and Bandini. Ferrari brought upgrades to their home race in Monza, where Parks took a surprise pole from Scarfiotti and Clark. It would be a Ferrari 1-2 with Scarfiotti ahead of Parks, Hulme, Rindt, Spence, and Anderson. Not scoring did not matter for Jack Brabham, who clinched his 3rd title in his own car. The United States Grand Prix would see Brabham take pole from Clark and Bandini. It was a disaster for Brabham Repco, which had all their cars retiring, but with the Ferraris not competing, they won the constructors. Clark would win for the first time in 1966, ahead of Rindt, Surtees, Seifert, McLaren, and Arundel. The season finale in Mexico saw Surtees take pole from Clark and Ginter. The polester would only just win the race from Brabham, Hulme, Ginter, Gurney, and Bonnier. With Brabham winning the title, Surtees snatched 2nd place in the championship from Rindt, Hulme, and Graham Hill. Brabham record win the other championship from Ferrari, Cooper Maserati, BRM, and Lotus BRM. Brabham made history by being the first owner and driver of a team to win the championship. As the grid geared up for the 11 races of the 1967 Formula One season, we had a point system change. The best 5 results out of the first 6 races and only the best 4 results out of the last 5 races were retained in both championships for a driver or team. The Kyalami circuit would debut at the return of the South African Grand Prix on the calendar. Brabham would take pole from Hulme and Clark, but quickly lost the lead and finished 6th, last of the finishers. The new Cooper Maserati recruit of Pedro Rodriguez would win from the Rhodesian John Love. Surtees was now partnered with Honda, Hulme, Anderson, and of course Brabham. 4 months later, and Monaco came, where Brabham would once again take pole from Bandini and Surtees. The latter two battled it out, then on lap 82, Bandini misjudged his brakes heading into the Porsche chicane, hit a wooden post, the car caught flames, and was flipped. After serious burns, he died 3 days later. On a sad day, it was Hulme who won from Graham Hill, Eamon, McLaren, Pedro Rodriguez, and Spence. At Zandvoort, Graham Hill would take pole from Gurney and Brabham. After starting 8th, a new Ford Cosworth engine for Lotus led Clark Quinn from Brabham, Hulme, Eamon, Parks, and Scarfiotti. In Belgium, Clark would take pole from Gurney and Graham Hill. Gurney's Eagle Westlake would win, outpacing the BRM of Stewart, Eamon, Rind, Spence, and Clark. The Bugatti circuit at La Sarthe held the French Grand Prix, where Graham Hill would be on pole from Brabham and Gurney. Brabham would win in a Brabham 1-2 from Hulme, Stewart, Seifert, Irwin, and Pedro Rodriguez. At Silverstone, Clark took pole from Graham Hill and Brabham. The pole-sitter would hold on to win from Hulme, the Honda of Eamon, Brabham, Pedro Rodriguez, and Surtees. With the first part of the season over, Hulme led Clark and Brabham in the drivers, and Brabham Repco led Lotus, Ford, Cosworth, and Cooper Maserati in the constructors. The Nordschleife saw F2 cars eligible to compete, as Jackie started third in an F2 car behind Clark and Hulme. Hulme would win by 38.5 seconds to Brabham. Eamon, Surtees, the F2 cars of Jackie Oliver and Alan Rees, which weren't eligible for points. So Bonnier and Guy Ligier got the points. It was the first time in 51 races a British driver wasn't on the podium to demonstrate the British domination of this motorsport. Though retiring from the race, Clark equaled Fangio's record of 29 pole positions. The Mosport Park circuit would hold the first ever World Championship Canadian Grand Prix, where Clark took pole from Graham Hill and Hulme. Clark now held the record for most pole positions. Eventually, and sadly for Clark, he retired with ignition problems. Brabham would win from Hulme, Gurney, Graham Hill, Spence, and Eamon. With that, Brabham Repco were constructors champions. Qualifying at Monza saw Clark take his third consecutive pole from Brabham and McLaren. From 9th on the grid, Surtees recovered to win from Brabham, Clark, Rins, Spence, and Nix, who was now into Formula One with Cooper Maserati. Watkins Glen saw Graham Hill take pole from Clark and Gurney. Clark would finally win a race from Graham Hill, championship leader Hulme, Seifert, Brabham, and Bonnier. Coming to the final race, Hulme led Brabham by 5 points in the title battle. The showdown was once again in Mexico, where Clark extended his pole position record from Eamon and Gurney. Brabham started 5th and Hulme 6th. Clark would equal Fangio's record of wins by winning, while Brabham came 2nd and Hulme 3rd, letting Hulme win the title against his team's owner. Behind came Surtees, Spence, and Pedro Rodriguez. Hulme won the title from Brabham, Clark, Surtees, and Eamon, and Brabham Repco won the constructors from Lotus, Ford, Cosworth, Cooper Maserati, Honda, and Ferrari. After Bandini's crash, straw bells were banned because they had made the fire bigger. For the 1968 season, an improved Lotus Ford team partnered Graham Hill and Clark, whilst McLaren had their owner and Hulme in their lineup. Brabham partnered Brabham and Rind, and Ferrari currently had Amon and X as main drivers. 12 races were on the calendar, and only the 5 best results out of the first 6 and the respectively last 6 races were kept for the drivers and constructors in both championships. South Africa once again hosted the first Grand Prix on the calendar, where Clark took pole from Graham Hill and the match of Stewart. Clark would hold on to win and now held the most victories in F1 history. Behind him came Graham Hill, Rind, Amon, Hulme, and Jean-Pierre Beltois. In the months between South Africa and the new Spanish Grand Prix at Jarama, there had been an F2 race at Hockenheim, in Germany. In the first section of the track, Clark had an accident, slammed into the trees, and, sadly for the Formula One world, died. The legend which had the most poles and victories in F1 history, the man on which last episode was based on, was no more. Rest in peace, Jim Clark. 1 month later came the Indy 500 and fellow Lotus teammate Mike Spence died in an accident. With those 2 losses, the grid lined up at Harana to see a first pole for Amon from Pedro Rodriguez and Hulme. Only 5 cars finished the race, as Graham Hill won from Hulme, Redman, Scarfiotti and Beltois. Graham Hill had now the championship lead. In Monaco, the start of the F1 sponsorship era began as Lotus' new 49 car had a red, white and gold color in honor of their sponsor, Gold Leaf, in a new era where aerodynamics appeared for the first time. Graham Hill took pole from Servois, Gavin and Seifert. Graham Hill held on to win, but only just from Atwood, Bianchi, Scarfiotti and Hulme, as once again only 5 cars finished the race. In Belgium, Amon once again took pole from Stewart and X. In his own car, the McLaren Ford Cosworth, McLaren won from Pedro Rodriguez, X, Stewart, Oliver and Bianchi. It was McLaren's first victory since Monaco 1962, 6 years earlier. At Zandvoort, it was pole once again for Amon, this time from Rind and Graham Hill. Stewart would win from Beltois, Pedro Rodriguez, X, Moser and Amon. A lot of the frontrunners didn't finish the race. In France, it was Rind on pole from Stewart and X. In the race, Joe Slasher and his newly designed air-cooled V8 engine crashed. The car went up in flames and he died, sadly. X would win for the first time from Surtees, Stewart, Elford, Hulme and Pierce Courage. The second half of the season kicked off in Brands Hatch, where Graham Hill would take pole from Oliver and Amon. It ultimately was Seifert winning from Amon, X, Hulme, Surtees and Stewart. It would be the last win for a privateer team. At the Nordschleife, X would take pole from Amon and Rind. Stewart won, pulling off an amazing drive to win by 4 minutes and 3.2 seconds to Graham Hill. Behind came Rind, X, Brabham and Pedro Rodriguez. In Monza, Surtees would take pole from Honda, from McLaren and Amon. It would end up being an easy win for Hulme, who was ahead of Servois, Gavin, X, Courage, Beltois and Bonnier. The Canadian Grand Prix was held at the new circuit of Mont-Tremblant, where Rind took pole from Amon and Seifert. It would end up being a McLaren Ford Cosworth 1-2 for Hulme and McLaren, which were leading Pedro Rodriguez, Graham Hill, Elford and Stewart. Hulme and Graham Hill were now at the top of the championship, both won 33 points. At Watkins Glen, it was a surprise Andretti taking home pole from Stewart and Graham Hill. The pole-sitter, a former Monza spectator, was in his debut race. Stewart would win from Graham Hill, Surtees, Gurney, Seifert and McLaren. Coming to the final race, Graham Hill was on 39 points, Stewart on 36 points and Hulme on 33 points. The showdown came in Mexico, where Seifert took pole from Eamon and Graham Hill. Hulme was 4th and Stewart 7th. It turned out to be an easy win for now the double world champion Graham Hill, ahead of McLaren, Oliver, P. Rodriguez, Bonnier and Seifert. Stewart finished 7th and Hulme did not finish. Stewart also finished runner-up in the championship, ahead of Hulme, X and McLaren, and behind champion Graham Hill. Lotus Ford Cosworth won the constructors from McLaren Ford Cosworth, Matra Ford Cosworth, Ferrari and BRM. It was an interesting episode, but next episode we are looking at one driver, one legend of the sport. Thank you for watching, like, subscribe and goodbye.